Lisbon, the capital of Portugal, is a city where ancient streets intertwine with modern avenues, and the smell of the ocean mixes with the aroma of freshly baked pâté. This is a place where every corner breathes with stories, from romantic legends to touching human dramas. In the summer of 2023, an event took place on one of these streets in the shade of blooming jacarandas that went viral around the world. This is a story about kindness that knows no bounds, about unexpected twists and turns of fate, and about how one small act can change the lives of many. At the center of this story is a homeless woman named Maria who lived on the streets of Lisbon, a little boy named Tiago who cried because of a broken bicycle, and his father, João Souza, one of the richest men in Portugal. What began as a chance meeting in a park turned into a story that touched millions of hearts and reminded the world that true wealth is not money, but humanity. Maria, who looked to be in her 50s, was one of those whom Lisbon hid in its shadows. She had been living on the streets for almost a decade after losing her job as a mechanic in a small car repair shop due to the economic crisis. Her husband had died, her children had moved abroad, and Maria was on the verge of survival without support. She slept under bridges, ate what she found in garbage bins, and earned a pittance by helping tourists with minor repairs, from broken bags to bicycles. Her only possessions were an old toolkit she carried in a tattered bag and her pride, which prevented her from begging. Maria was a well-known figure in the Alfama neighborhood, an old quarter of Lisbon. The locals called her Mechanic Maria for her talent for fixing almost anything. She never talked about her past, but her kind eyes and warm smile attracted people. Children in the park often ran to her to fix their ball or rollerblades, and she always helped without taking money. "It's for the soul," she would say when someone tried to thank her. On that hot July day in 2023, Maria was sitting on a bench in Jardins da Estrela Park, one of Lisbon's most popular spots. She had just finished fixing the wheel of a child's scooter when she heard a cry. A little boy about 7 years old stood nearby near the alley, holding a broken bike. His cheeks were wet with tears, and there was no one around to comfort him. Maria approached him without hesitation. The boy, whose name was Tiago, was the son of João Souza, a media mogul and one of the most influential businessmen in Portugal. João owned a network of TV channels, newspapers, and technology startups, and his fortune was estimated at billions of euros. Tiago, his only son, grew up in luxury, but was a shy and sensitive boy. He liked to ride his bike in the park where his nanny took him, but one day the bike broke down. The chain came off and one wheel got stuck. Tiago tried to fix the bike himself, but only got his hands dirty and tore his t-shirt. His nanny, Anna, left for a few minutes to answer a phone call, leaving the boy alone. Tiago, feeling abandoned, burst into tears. "My dad gave me this bike. He's going to be angry," he sobbed, not noticing that Maria was approaching. "Hey little one, what's wrong?" Maria asked gently, sitting down on the ground. Tiago recoiled, startled by the stranger, but her kind look reassured him. "The bike, it broke down," he mumbled, wiping away his tears. Maria smiled. "Let me take a look at it. I know how to fix it." She took out her tools and started working, explaining to Tiago what she was doing. "Here, you see, the chain is loose and here the screw is loose. Don't worry, we'll fix it." Tiago, forgetting his tears, watched in fascination as Maria deftly fastened the chain and fixed the wheel. Her hands, though scarred from life on the streets, moved with the precision of a surgeon. In 5 minutes the bike was as good as new. Tiago beamed. "Thank you, you're like a magician," he exclaimed. Maria laughed. "I'm not a wizard, I just like to fix things. Drive safe, okay?" Tiago nodded and, unable to resist, hugged her. Maria, surprised, gently stroked his head. At that moment she was unaware that she was being watched. João Souza, Tiago's father, was in the park that day. He rarely had time to spend with his son due to his busy schedule, but on this day he decided to surprise him by arriving at Jardins da Estrela unannounced. He parked his Rolls-Royce nearby and was walking down the alley when he saw Tiago crying next to a broken bike. João wanted to go over, but stopped when he noticed an unkempt woman with a bag of tools approaching his son. João, accustomed to a world where everyone wants something from him, was wary. He thought the woman might be a fraudster who would take advantage of the situation. But what he saw next stunned him. The woman wasn't asking for money or trying to sell anything. She was just fixing the bike, talking to Tiago as if he were her own child. Her voice was calm and her movements were confident. When Tiago put his arms around her, João felt a lump form in his throat. He, a man who rarely showed emotion, was moved by the scene. João approached when Maria had finished and was about to leave. "Excuse me, did you fix my son's bike?" he asked. Maria, embarrassed by the attention, nodded. "Yes, it was nothing. He's a good boy." João took out his wallet to thank her, but Maria refused. "I don't need money, just let him be happy," she said, and quickly walked away, disappearing into the crowd. Tiago, beaming with joy, told his father how Aunt Maria had saved his bike. João, impressed by her unselfishness, could not stop thinking about this woman. He, a man who was used to solving problems with money, felt that he had met someone who had changed his perception of kindness. The next day, João couldn't concentrate on his work. The image of Maria, her shabby clothes and kind smile, kept coming back to him. He decided to find her to thank her, not with money, but with something meaningful. João contacted his assistant Miguel and asked him to gather information about mechanic Maria. Miguel, who knew Lisbon like the back of his hand, quickly found out that Maria was a well-known figure among the homeless of Alfama. She was often seen in parks, markets, or near churches, mending things for the locals. João set out to find her. He went to all the places where Maria could be, asking street vendors and passers-by. Many people knew her, but no one could tell him where she slept or where she came from. "She's like a ghost," said one fruit vendor. "She appears, helps, and then disappears." João was amazed at how warmly people spoke of Maria. Some people told him how she had fixed a baby carriage, others how she had saved an old radio. But everyone agreed on one thing: Maria never took money. After a week of searching, João came across Maria near the Tagus seafront. She was fixing a bike chain for a tourist, and a little boy was standing nearby, watching with fascination. João approached and introduced himself. "I am Tiago's father. You helped my son, and I want to thank you." Maria still refused the money, but João insisted that she listen to his offer. "I want to offer you a job," he said. Maria was surprised. "What kind of job for someone like me?" she asked. João told her that his media and technology company had a charity fund aimed at supporting the homeless. He suggested that Maria had a workshop where she could teach other homeless people how to repair appliances, bicycles, and household items. "You have a talent, and I want you to share it," he said. Maria hesitated. Living on the streets had taught her not to trust promises. But something in João's eyes, a sincerity she hadn't seen in years, made her agree. "Only for the sake of children like Tiago," she said. João kept his word. A few weeks later, Maria got a small apartment in Lisbon, paid for by his foundation, and started working in a workshop called Maria's Hands. The workshop became part of a charity project aimed at teaching professional skills to the homeless and the poor. Maria taught her students, from teenagers to the elderly, how to repair bicycles, household appliances, and even create simple mechanisms. Her patience and ability to explain the complex in simple terms made her a favorite. Tiago often came to the workshop, bringing Maria his drawings or asking her to fix something new. He called her Aunt Maria, and once gave her a bracelet made of thread, saying, "This is so you know you are my friend." Maria, who had not felt the warmth of her family for years, burst into tears as she hugged the boy. Watching Maria's progress, João began to rethink his own life. He, who had previously seen business as just numbers, realized that the true value was in the change he could bring. His foundation expanded to open new workshops across Portugal, and Maria's story became the basis for a documentary that João financed. The film, titled Mechanic Maria, told the story of her life struggles and triumph, and moved audiences at international festivals. But the most shocking twist was the truth about Maria's past, which came to light a year after she started working in the workshop. During the filming of the documentary, the journalists decided to research Maria's biography. They found her old friends, colleagues, and even distant relatives. It turned out that Maria, whose real name was Maria Teresa Almeida, was not just a mechanic. In her youth, she was a mechanical engineer, worked on projects for the automotive industry, and even received several patents for her inventions. But after her husband died and she lost her job, she became depressed, lost touch with her children, and ended up on the streets. The biggest discovery was that one of her designs, a mechanism for the braking system, was still being used in cars produced by a company associated with João. It turned out that Maria, unbeknownst to her, had contributed to technologies that were making millions. João was stunned when he found out. He contacted lawyers and managed to get Maria compensated for her patents, an amount that amounted to several million euros. When João told Maria about the money, she initially refused to take it. "That's not why I fixed Tiago's bike," she said. But João insisted, suggesting that she use the money to expand her workshop and set up a foundation for children from poor families. Maria agreed, but on the condition that part of the money would be used to educate Tiago if he wanted to become an engineer or mechanic. "He is a special boy," she said, smiling. The documentary Maria the Mechanic was released in 2024 and became a sensation, garnering millions of views. People from all over the world wrote letters to Maria, thanking her for her kindness and being inspired by her story. Some sent her tools, others invited her to speak at conferences about social change. Maria, who was once invisible on the streets of Lisbon, has become a symbol of hope. Her workshop has grown into a network of centers across Portugal, and her students, formerly homeless, orphans, refugees, have found jobs and started new lives. Tiago, who was 9 years old, enrolled in a robotics class and dreamed of one day working with Maria. João, inspired by her example, revised his business priorities and donated millions to charity. But the most touching moment was the day Maria was reunited with her children. Her daughter Sofia and son Pedro, who lived in Canada, saw the film and contacted their mother. They flew to Lisbon, and their meeting, filmed by journalists, became the climax of the documentary. Maria, hugging her children, cried and said, "I thought I had lost everything, but it turned out that I was just waiting to find myself." The story of Maria, Tiago and João has become a legend, reminding the world that kindness is a currency more valuable than any wealth. Maria continues to work in her workshop, teaching others and fixing bicycles for children in the park. Tiago, her little friend, often visits her, bringing her new ideas for robots. João, who once lived for business, now devotes time to family and charity, calling Maria the person who taught me to see. In Jardins da Estrela, where it all began, a small plaque was placed on the bench where Maria sat. It reads, "Here began a story of kindness that changed the world." The video of Maria and Tiago is still watched by millions, and her name has become synonymous with hope. This story is proof that even the smallest act can set off a chain of events that will make the world a better place. Subscribe to the channel and like so you don't miss new, interesting, incredible, exciting stories. Thank you for watching and see you soon.